thank
I
you.
will tell you that I also said that we have at least 7 others sitting at this table.
Well, thank you, Dr. Morrison. We'll call this work session of March 5th of the Board of Trustees, Tarrant County College to order. We do have a quorum. Thank you, Michael. And we don't have any public comment. And at our regular board meeting, we'll review our minutes. So we'll start with item 4. Carol Bracken, review of the proposed consent agenda. And Carol, are you going to go over each one of these?
Not unless you would like for me to.
It is about 2 inches.
Come on. Here we go. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're here today to talk about some policy changes that we have been presented. As you all know, we are members of the policy service with Texas Association of School Boards, and twice a year they propose and promulgate changes to both our legal and local policy. The most recent round came from them, Update 37. It deals with the changes in law that were required as a result of our most recent legislative session. The changes in our legal policy actually occurred back in December without the necessity of any action by this board or anyone else. Then late in December, we received the changes to our local policy, Update 37 local, and that's what you see in your packet. The changes, although it's thick, mostly deal with modifications that are required, or actually entirely deal with modifications that are required to make our local policy compliant with new state law. The other thing that we have done is to go through those changes and make some corrections on title, because as you know, we've had some changes here in the district in terms of what we call various positions. I'm happy to discuss any particular questions you might have with regard to particular policies, either here or at another time.
Are the Title IX changes, they're not done yet?
The two things. In the local policy, the changes were fairly minimal. There were some changes in the legal policy to deal not so much with Title IX, but rather with SB 212, which is the Texas law that deals with Texas sexual assault and related crimes on campus. What you're referring to, I think, are the proposed changes to the regulations promulgated by the Department of Education concerning Title IX. We've been promised those every month since last September, and we still don't have them. Somebody tells me about once a month, oh, you'll for sure have them next month, but they haven't shown up yet.
Okay.
Are those changes from the Department of Ed applicable to our operation now?
No, because and once they're promulgated, there will be some period of time before they become effective. We don't know if it's going to be a very short period of time or a longer period of time. And of course, there's also the possibility that they may be the subject of litigation, and that they may, in whole or in part, be stayed by the action of a federal court somewhere in the country.
So we are subject to the state changes?
Absolutely. Most of them became effective in September. Some of them became effective in January of this year.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thank you for all the updates and for the summary. That was very, very helpful. I noticed that some of them had some specific dates around them. Is there anything that, in your mind, that we need to pay specific attention to that might be time sensitive, that we need to act upon or look at or consider?
You know, I think the ones that are the most the most important to us are the ones relating to SB 212 and some of its progeny. And we've had a full court press since last summer to understand them and to get processes in place to be able to deal with them as and when necessary. And at this point, fingers crossed, we think we're in full compliance, and I guess we'll just have to wait for the courts to catch up with the legislature to see if they agree with us.
So when you say full court press, does that mean not only have you made changes to our policy, but we're working with staff so that everybody understands?
We have undertaken several rounds actually, of compliance training with our faculty, with our staff, both full-time and part-time, so that they do understand the ramifications of these changes.
Thank you.
Since this does relate to policy, I would urge our board to really take a look at these and review all of them.
You'll see
Since
at the
that's part of our
beginning,
job.
there's a helpful, kind of like a little cheat sheet that shows what the main changes are.
Okay.
It goes on for several pages, but it is very informative.
Okay. Any further questions, discussion? Okay. Item 4B. Thank you, Carol. Consideration and approval of deductive change order for Johnson Controls Fire Protection for fire sprinkler upgrades at South Automotive and South Auto Collision Repair in the amount of $196,443.14. Mr. Prather.
Yes, sir. This is a return of $54,323.42 worth of unused owner's contingency and $142,119.72 for an alternate that was not needed.
Okay, that's B and C. Okay.
No, sir. No, sir.
Just
No,
B.
That's
Okay.
just for B.
All right, okay.
Sounds great.
Questions, discussion? Okay. Item 4C, consideration approval of deductive change order with Freedom Construction for sprinkler system installation at the Northeast Fine Arts Building in the amount of $32,599.
Yes, sir. This is just the return of unused contingency funds.
Questions, discussion? Item 4D. Thank you, Gary. Consideration approval of resolution authorizing criteria to compile board meeting agendas. Mr. Gates.
Yes, as stated, this resolution will authorize the go-forth criteria we'll use to compile board agenda items. More specifically, back in September, you all asked the Chancellor to explore by comparison some of our peer institutions and what they were doing. Those three bullets in the middle of the resolution actually contain what will be the go-forward changes. Any item related to construction will be proposed for consideration and approval as an individual action. That continues the $100,000 threshold that you all use. Any item not related to construction and under $1 million will be proposed as a consent agenda item. And finally, all other items, all other technology and others, over $1 million will be proposed for consideration and approval as an individual action item. So the net effect will be the consent agenda, in most cases, will grow month to month, but we'll still have the same opportunity in this meeting to do the deep dive on each item.
As well as remove any consent item that anyone may wish to
Yes.
remove.
Any questions, discussion?
Just a point of clarification. Again, these items will still be in front of us. We'll still have the opportunity to look at them, and we just pull them like we would normally do in any other case.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
You receive the same type of
Right.
backup information that you've had in the past, yes.
Okay. Item 5A, review of proposed individual action items for board meeting on March 19th. Item A is consideration and approval of contracts with multiple vendors for cooling tower replacement on Southeast Campus in the amount of $572,343.97. Mr. Prather.
Yes, sir. We have a revision to this memo. We left off one of the contractors. I want to make sure we get that correct. But this is this cooling tower project. There will be other soft costs for commissioning, testing, and balancing. And we also been asked by the district about the cooling tower chiller program, and we have completed work at South, Northeast, and partial at Northwest and Southeast. If more information is needed, we can provide that.
Gary, can you highlight what's the difference in the revised?
In the, go to the procurement method, And you will see that we've got two contractors in there. Up at the top, we had two contractors, procurement method. We only had the one contractor in there. We had to add Texas Air Systems. We had left that off. 5A.
5A. The total amount remains the same.
Yes, sir.
Questions, discussion?
Question, and it's really more, I have a question, but I think it's more directed to somebody in procurement. How do we determine the percentage of MWBE that's listed here? Sorry, I didn't mean to make you get up, Mike.
You don't need that, Mike? You need that?
I don't think so. It actually depends on the contractor a lot of times. I mean, we try to get as much MWB participation as we can. It just depends on the contract. For example, this particular one was mostly equipment, I believe. Or is this labor? Equipment, well, when it's equipment, and if the contractor we're buying it from is not an MWB, there's really not much opportunity for subcontracting to move that number up. So, in this particular case, I would have to look back to see what their percentage was, but,
It was 2.3%, so that's what
2.3%.
caught my attention, because it's just,
which is relatively low, so that tells me that their MWBE piece of that would be probably more in the shipment and things like that area. It's not gonna be a large piece of the puzzle.
okay.
And it varies, you know, when we go out to bid, we have a little bit more opportunity to
Right.
try to drive more MWBE, but at the same time, ultimately, you know, the contractor has to bring that forward to us, so.
Okay. So the contractor tells us what the percentage is going to be, is that correct?
What they can do.
What they can
What they
do,
can do,
okay.
yes. And then we verify it through the process, through pay apps to make sure that they actually do that.
Okay.
That's part of the verification process we do on the back end as things are done.
And the overall goal remains 20%,
That's correct, yes, sir.
okay? But there's also another factor, and that is that a lot of the contracts are weighted. There's a 15%.
Well, that's the
weight.
weight we apply as to, if they meet our goal,
Right.
they get 15% of the weight is towards that, meeting that MWBE goal.
And if I'm correct, that we're the only one of the top 10 colleges that have that?
I know there are 2 or 3 others that have MWBE programs. I would have to check to see exactly what percentage or weight they apply to that.
Yeah, the last we looked, a number do have a goal, but I believe we were the only one stated as a weighting. There may have been another one, but it's not prevalent at all,
Right.
the weighting factor at the other colleges.
So that's significant.
We use that to encourage participation, you know, 15% may not sound like a lot, but when you're looking at a overall, you know, you're dividing the evaluation of the bid, price is certainly part of it, and then you have, you know, their qualifications and things like that. When you add 15% in, not many of them are gonna want to not try to meet that so they can get those points in the evaluation.
Yeah, how proactive are we in actually going after minority businesses to bid on these contracts? I mean, you can publish them, but.
We do. You know, we actually have a supplier diversity manager on our staff, and I believe Susan's going to be doing a presentation, is it next month, to give you a lot more information on that. But we do a lot of preliminary work in advance of bids being released, working with the chambers and the different organizations within Tarrant County and the DFW market. Then once the bids are released, we publish, we normally have a pre-bid meeting for all of these major bids, and whoever comes to those pre-bid meetings, we publish who that is. So now minority contractors can know who the primes are that showed up, so it's really up to them to communicate directly with those primes. And then once we've done a contract, we've signed a contract, then especially with a CMAR, Construction Manager at Risk, we work directly with that contractor to do outreach events to bring other minority vendors to the table so that they have an opportunity to bid on the different components of the project. So it's multiple parts.
Thank you. Can I have a follow-up question, Mr. Heed? May I have a follow-up
Sure.
question? Thank you. How long have we had this 20% for MWBE? And how did we
think
come to
since
that number?
2000 I think since 2000, before my time, I think 2004 or 5.
Okay,
And they hired a firm to come in and do an analysis for us and come through. Again, that's a little bit before my time. Andre may be a better person to answer that question, but I know they brought them in and had an analysis done to determine both capacity of the minority vendors within the district and things like that. And that was brought forth to the board back then, and the board adopted that. I think 04, 05. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure of the year.
thank you.
So
Is that-
Michael, may I have a
Go ahead.
question?
Sure.
Does the buy board cooperative, as a part of its work, monitor and encourage minority, not only participation, but minority reporting?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I think they encourage it, but I don't think they weight it in any way when they award their contracts that I'm aware of. They handle that. Buy board is part of the Texas Association of School Boards. That's their cooperative organization. So, to my knowledge, they don't. Now, sometimes they will have some in their contracts, but as far as the development or the encouragement of it and a weighting of it, I'm not aware of that.
So is there a cooperative through the state office of purchasing that we
You have
participate
some
in?
state contracts. They have the Texas Multiple Award Schedule where they bid things. And of course, the DIR, we buy a lot of technology items off of that. The State Department of Information Resources bids a lot of technology items as well. To my knowledge, they report any MWBE, but I'm not sure that they actually weight it that I'm aware of.
Weight it, monitor, or encourage it? Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you so much. I was going to ask if it would be possible that if we could, Ms. Alanis is going to do a presentation on the procurement process, if we could have a little bit more detail about where we compare with other colleges, if it's time that we might do a reevaluation to see whether or not 20% is sufficient. Is that something we could include?
Sure.
In that presentation.
Yeah, we do know that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
So in addition to that, and I've had this discussion about us as a community college fostering capacity building. So will that be a part of this in some of the ways that we might be approaching that? Or is that a separate discussion?
It's somewhat a separate discussion because that's a byproduct of the award or the contract itself.
And in addition to that, I see it also as a part of what we do in terms of
Yeah.
our training, education, development programs, relationships with commerce in the industry.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. There's not, to my knowledge, a direct connect anywhere with that. It certainly is an issue that arises related to, training and, internships and apprenticeships and all of that. But to my knowledge, I don't know anything in the procurement process that speaks to the capacity building of talent directly to a procurement process.
So wouldn't it be great, is this after we spend $825 million over the next how many ever years, that at the end of that, we have that much more capacity for MWB participation in our area? That through that whole process, we've been able to encourage, sponsor, generate, foster?
Well, yeah, I mean, we train a lot of people, so I would assume indirectly that, the more welders, the more electricians, the more, pipe fitters that we train, we're going to be involved in the local activity, but there's not a direct way to assess that.
Yet.
You know?
Thank you.
Any further questions, discussion? Item 5B, consideration and approval of professional service authorization with Perkins+Will for Southeast Campus expansion, programming and conceptual design in the amount of $269,780. Mr. Prather.
Yes, sir. This is to move to the programming and conceptual design. We've got the preliminaries put in play. We're ready to start moving forward on this.
I don't know what I did. My stuff disappeared. Thank you.
Operator error.
Yes. Whatever. Robert to the rescue.
Okay, item 5C, consideration and approval of contracts with multiple service providers for air system replacements Phase 2 at the Erma C. Johnson Hadley Center of Excellence in the amount of $1,632,217.76 not to exceed. And this is, you have five items under this that are all part of that contract, and we're.
That is correct.
And is this, these five, are we looking at the whole contract as we have asked for in the past, and as opposed to breaking this up into individual
That is correct.
contracts? Okay, so we see the whole picture.
You're seeing the whole picture, less the commissioning and testing and balancing of that,
Okay,
because we don't have all that put in play until we get all the systems put in service,
okay.
which is minimal. So this is the second and final phase of the HVAC upgrade on the south end of that complex.
Questions, discussion? Item 5D, consideration and approval of contract with Freedom Construction for the Avionics Relocation Project at the Erma C. Johnson Hadley Center of Excellence in the amount of $315,823.25.
This is to relocate the existing avionics program to make room for the new non-destructive testing and inspection program. And the reason for that, this particular new program is better suited in the location of avionics right now.
Questions, discussion? Okay, item 5E, consideration and approval of contract with Chambers Engineering for the demolition of the Rotunda building on South Campus in the amount of $450,932.43.
This is to take the Rotunda down. I hope we don't have another Leaning Tower of Dallas. It's not that tall, but and turn it into green space.
Are you going to implode it?
No, sir. We're going to bulldoze it.
Do we know when that's scheduled? Is that scheduled like on a downtime for the campus, or?
Yes, ma'am, as best we can. Being in the center of campus and the longevity of the project is going to interfere a little bit, but all precautions will be put in place.
Get it done next week? Any further questions, discussion?
Has it already commenced, or when will it actually
No, we
begin?
gotta prove
No,
it.
you
it
say?
won't begin until you approve this.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yes,
as
ma'am,
far
we
as
have already done preliminary
this
work.
month? Okay, that's what, okay, thank you.
Okay, item 5F, consideration and approval of multiple contracts with Facilities Programming Limited for classroom utilization studies at Northeast, South, and Trinity River campus locations in the amount of $162,810. And again, there's items 1, 2, and 3 under that.
And that is for the same contractor. We're just separating so we can get the value associated with each campus. And this is for professional services of class utilization studies for Trinity River East, Northeast, and South.
And this relates to the principals and working with, looking at the classrooms to see how they should look?
It's,
This is-
see how they, well, I'm going to let
Okay,
Scheduling.
So this is a continuation of work that already started on Northwest and Southeast in preparation for the campus redevelopment. So it's a matter of assessing how the classrooms are used, what their capacity is, somebody putting their physical eyes on every one of them as we make lots of decisions about how to spend our bond proceeds to improve the campuses. So it's the planning work associated with that.
Okay. Okay. Further questions, discussion? Item 5G, consideration and approval of contract with the University of North Texas Health Science Center to provide medical director services for the district in the amount of $102,081. Dr. Peter Jordan.
I thought you were going to call me Alpha LeBlanc for a second.
No, yeah. You're not that good looking. Where is she? There she is.
Can't win for losing. So this is a proposal to partner with UNT Health Sciences Center for them to provide us with a medical director who will oversee and supervise RN staff in the execution of standing orders. And this is required if our nurses are to conduct urgent or emergency kinds of services to members of the college community.
Okay. And hopefully this might lead to additional work with the,
Partnerships, yeah, definitely,
Health Science Center.
yes.
Questions, discussion? Thank you.
I just wanted
You
to
do,
say
okay.
thank you to folks I had several questions related to this, so thank you for answering those questions so quickly. Thank you, Carol, as well. So I'm really excited about having somebody on board
Thank-
that will help us in this capacity. So thank you.
Well, kudos to Carol for
Yeah.
negotiating a great contract.
So
Thank you.
as a result of this, now we'll be at full service for,
Our nurses will resume urgent and emergent care, not as they had in the past, because they did more than, they went beyond the pale, the scope of what they should have been doing. But yes, these new standing orders will allow them to resume providing urgent and emergent care.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's good too. Will this person be on campus or is it a person on call or how would that work?
Mostly on call.
Okay.
However, this individual will have some responsibility for visiting our centers,
Okay.
working and evaluating our nurses and so forth.
Good.
So there will be time spent on campus.
Okay,
Yes.
good deal.
Okay, question?
Thank you.
Thank you. Item H, Dr. LeBlanc, consideration and approval of contract with Catholic Charities of Fort Worth to expand the Stay the Course program with the district in a projected amount of $3,494,000.
Good afternoon. We have much to celebrate because we've been working with Catholic Charities since 2013. And we started out with Trinity River campus and then Northwest, and now we've added all the campuses. And we have special guests here today from Catholic Charities, Elise Chung, Josh Audi, and Alan Martin. They've been working, we got to know each other really well, right? Because of all the wonderful work we've done. I had a short PowerPoint and it's getting shorter because we can't find it. Because I wanted to, if I can't find the PowerPoint, I'll simply tell you a little bit about the story. Here it is. So I wanted to take just a few minutes to let you know about the partnership because it is a very special partnership. And we've, over the years, have expanded connecting with individuals and other entities in the community so that we can better serve our students. And this is one example of many. But thank you. So, Catholic Charities approached us, and actually they approached Mrs. Hadley in 2013 and said, we want to work with you because one of our missions is to end poverty in every way that we can. And they were interested in conducting some research to see if some of their ideas were indeed true. So they learned in their mission to end poverty one family at a time, that a key to ending poverty is a job that pays living wages, and also getting a job that provides the living wages then required a certificate or an associate degree. And so when they started connecting the dots, they realized that the community college offered that best opportunity for people. And the barriers to graduation, based on the research that they did, was the college costs, academic under-preparation, institutional obstacles such as few resources for students, complex systems. In terms of the personal, there were non-academic obstacles that the students faced, which were financial and family issues, planning, and time management. So with Stay the Course program, the program was based on a comprehensive case management. And it's really evidence-based, and it's, when we talk about the navigators that work in this program, they are basically social workers. And the name navigator was a little more warm toward what we were trying to communicate, and so that's the term that we use. But the comprehensive case management is provided on campus. The students get weekly check-ins, bi-monthly face-to-face meetings, and there is also some emergency funding available for those students that need it. So they did set aside eligibility requirements simply because we have so many students, and we wanted to be able to identify cohorts that would benefit the most from such a program. And as you can see, it needs to be someone that has a plan in mind for completing a certificate or a degree. It needs to be someone that's 18 years of age or older, and also qualifies for Pell Grant, is making a commitment by taking college hours, and so on. So as I mentioned earlier, we started in 2013 with Trinity River campus being the pioneer, and today we have all of the campuses involved, and you can see we've grown from 2013, where we had 221 students served, to 577. The results are quite amazing. So because it was a true research model, they had multiple cohorts, and one cohort got absolutely no support from Stay the Course. They were like all the other students on campus. And the other cohort got the Stay the Course support. And so when you compare the two groups, the control group, which did not get the Stay the Course support, you will see still enrolled after 6 hours, 23.8%. Those that participated in the program, we had 48.9%. In terms of earned degree, we went from 5.7% to 22.3%. And then the female population did a little bit better. If you separated it even farther, to the female population still enrolled after 6 semesters, they went from 13.4% to 49.2%. And in terms of earned degree, the females went from less than 1% completion rate to 31.5%, which is incredible. And several of those are single mothers with young children, and you can see how the emergency funds and the support that they were getting from the navigator made an enormous difference in their ability to finish. They're very motivated to finish, and helping them overcome some of those barriers are a big help.
Excuse
So
me.
if you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Why did you just put the information on the females? Is there, I mean, what percentage of the people enrolled are females, and what's the overall?
So
results?
I should have included the male percentage. I showed the females simply because they demonstrated the greatest progress. And that's not, actually that's not different from the rest of our student population. The females are doing better than the males. And I can get you the information on the males as well. I will be happy to give that to you.
Thank you.
So total students served from 2015 to 2020, you can see that it's a significant number. Of those served, 46 have actually graduated, 67 graduated and transferred to a four-year institution. 80 transferred before completing a degree, but they've transferred. And what we are hoping to identify those that transferred and finished. And then there are 6 that we kind of lost along the way, which sometimes that happens. So I wanted to show you that happy story because it is significant when we look at promising practices. And you needed to see the big picture because we are recommending that you approve this contract with Catholic Charities of Fort Worth to expand the Stay the Course program with the district in the projected amount of $3,494,000. I do want to point out that the amount that you would be approving is 35% of the actual expenditures, and the foundation, the Tarrant County College Foundation, will provide up to $972,000 over the 3 years for emergency financial assistance. So this is a partnership with Catholic Charities, Tarrant County College, and Tarrant County College Foundation. The money you would be approving would come out of auxiliary funds. It would not come out of the state funding.
So this amount is what comes out of our auxiliary funds?
Correct.
It doesn't involve the
Yes, sir.
foundation funding? or
Yes,
anything
sir.
like that, okay.
And you should have the MOU that's been thoroughly vetted by our staff and more importantly by Carol Bracken and her friends at Catholic Charities, the attorney friends at Catholic Charities, which we appreciate very much. And you have additional information in your packet about Stay the Course that gives you, again, very positive feedback about the program.
Where is the MOU? Is it online, or did I miss it?
Where's the backup? Is there a question?
On,
GH.
oh. So I have a question. Who hires the navigators?
So Catholic Charities hire the navigators. And they work in concert with our student development staff. And actually this program also works in concert with the Eliminating Barriers program. They're in infancy stage as we see it, because we're at this time serving a smaller number than we would like. We want to expand it as we see the success rate. Yes, so it is a partnership.
And in regard to this, I think it's great. Let me just say that, and it's good to see some successes. In regard to the partnership, I was looking in the packet, and I just want to make sure that I'm correct. Catholic Charities, and I'm at financial terms 3.3. They'll provide up to a little over 7.5 million, 7.6 million.
Yes, sir.
So good. All right. So it's a real partnership.
You're happy about that, I know.
Yeah, I am. Looks good. Looks good. But more so the students, though. They'll benefit. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited about this partnership. I think it's wonderful for our students, and it's wonderful for the community as well. I just have a question on the funding as well. So is this funding going to, not ours, but the foundation funding, and I don't know who to direct this question to, is that part of a campaign? Is that a fundraising, or is that something that's already in place?
They are our foundation, and Joe is here, and I can speak on your behalf, or you can come up here. You look great, Joe. Come over here. So he's working very hard and to support these efforts, and I'll let him speak to that.
Thank you.
Yes, just rather briefly, there is a special initiative to raise these funds, but out of a total comprehensive effort under the umbrella of eliminating barriers. You know, the foundation has instituted already a program that provides emergency assistance. So this is an expansion of that. And so you'll probably be hearing more about it as the hat is passed to all of us. So, but that'll be coming, yes.
And Joe, what is the status of the Eliminate Barriers Fund now? How much do we have in it?
Probably $250,000 to this point, as far as commitments already. And then tacking on these additional commitments, you know, there'll be significant efforts to raise those funds, as well as funding that the foundation has secured in previous work as well. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to point out that faculty and staff frequently contribute to these efforts, and we're simply coordinating them so that we can even track them, right? Yes.
I just have one other question. I'm curious, is there another program that we could, that you've seen that models this particular program elsewhere? Because it just seems rather unique, which I really love the idea, so I was just curious.
It is unique. There are programs similar to it. They're not identical to this. I think in the Austin area, there's a program called Capital Idea, which is similar, and it's actually, I haven't looked into it in recent years, but it was funded by the city of Austin and churches and other entities in order to move people from poverty into good paying jobs. And so they were working with Austin Community College and some of the area universities on that.
Thank you.
Yes, but it is unique.
It is unique.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So Dr. LeBlanc, is this the award-winning program that caused Notre Dame to co-op the executive director of our Catholic Charities and take her to work with them?
Well, no, don't get testy. It was her idea to initiate this program, and it was a huge success. And so she now is running the program at the University of Notre Dame. Yes. And I think they recruited her in the summer. They did not recruit her in the wintertime when it was up to here in snow.
Probably.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, item I, Susan Alanis, consideration and approval of the creation of the 2019 Bond Program Fund 90, consolidation of renewal and replacement of Fund 40 and Building Fund 70, and a resolution increasing the adopted Tarrant County College District fiscal year 2019-20 budget.
So this is a little bit of housekeeping for us to set up our administrative processes to start managing the bond program as we prepare for our first debt issue this summer. And so I'll walk you through what this includes. First of all, it's going to be the creation of Fund 90, which will be for the 2019 bond program. And this will be where we record every expenditure associated with this bond program in a single place. And so we'll create this for that
Board
purpose.
members, this is in your packet too, so.
In addition, what we're going to do is, as you may recall, last summer when we called the election, we also asked you to authorize a resolution to allow us to reimburse ourselves for projects that were already getting underway that were authorized by the bond program. And so we're estimating that up to $40 million of those costs may be incurred this fiscal year. That's probably on the outer bounds of it, but our intent is to ask you to provide us the budgetary authority to proceed with booking those expenditures for those projects. What's been happening is that we've been charging them to our regular capital funds, and we'll go through an exercise to move them over to the bond program to get them recorded in the correct place. Essentially, it'll be offset by a receivable because we know we'll do the debt sale probably in June, and so when those funds come in, they will offset that budget authority. In addition, meanwhile, we've got plenty of available pooled cash that's used for the actual expenditures as they occur. This is an accounting exercise to make sure that we've got it all booked in the appropriate place and have the budget authority in that fund. So the other thing that we want to do is you may recall that we've got two capital funds today that have been in existence for some time. I'm not really sure necessarily the origin of either one of them, but Fund 40 is labeled as the Renewal and Replacement Fund, and I think was intended to have capital improvements to existing facilities. Separately, there was the Fund 70 Building Fund, which I think was intended to be for new building. In some ways, those two concepts are conflated over time. So it really isn't necessary for us to have that when we will have most of our new building occurring in our bond program fund. So what we are recommending is that we will actually collapse these two funds into a single fund that in next year's budget we will relabel as our cash-funded capital projects. And that'll allow us to have essentially two capital sources. One will be cash-funded projects that we plan, and then the other one will be our debt-funded projects in the bond program fund. And so there's a couple of things that we need to do. There's an appropriation and a fund balance in each of those funds today. And so we've got an accounting exercise that we need to take you through in order to affect this change of the funds. So this provides you a little bit of an overview, and I'll start with, of course, we've got our Operating and Maintenance Fund 10, which is where we adopt our budget annually to run our operations. You'll note in red is the Building Fund 70, and that is the fund that we are recommending to be eliminated. And we will transfer the proceeds of about $23 million in that fund over to Fund 40, and so there will be no dollars left in that fund. The Renewal and Replacement Fund, we've got an existing appropriation or an adopted budget of $29 million. We think we need about $10 million in addition to continue our cash-funded program for the current year, so we will increase the appropriation, and the remainder will fall to the fund balance in that capital fund, so it will be available for future capital projects as we put our capital plan together for future years. Then the additional auxiliary fund, which you're familiar with, that we mentioned a moment ago, and then finally the newly created in green of the bond program fund. So essentially that will amend our budget for the year and give us an increase, and so we will have a resolution for you to consider that will amend our budget for the current year to reflect those changes. I will mention as well that we're actively in the process of preparing a 5-year capital plan that again reflects the current year activities that we have underway, both with cash funded as well as the projects we intend to be reimbursed with the bond. But it will reflect a schedule for all of those projects over a period of time that next month we will start to provide those quarterly updates to you so you can see the progress of all of that work in a collective place. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay.
questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, I just don't quite, there was 23 million in Fund 70, and so I just don't see where all of it went.
So essentially, we don't need all that 23 million in the current year. So as we collapse the funds, we're going to appropriate 10 million of it for use in the current fiscal year. The other 13 million will go to Fund 40 fund balance to be available for future year capital programming. We just didn't need to appropriate all of it in the current fiscal year.
So it's there, it's just not shown on this sheet.
That's correct. That's correct. It's in fund balance.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Okay, item J. Consideration approval of the May Owen naming designation to the forthcoming boardroom in the Clear Fork wing of the Trinity River Complex. Dr. Giovanni.
So on September 16th of 1982, this was a new building that we're sitting in here today, and the Board of Trustees approved that new building naming as the May Owen District Center in honor of the board's founding member, May Owen. Since 1982, the May Owen name has often been synonymous with the location of TCC's Board of Trustees' monthly meetings and activities and such. So in the spirit of that history, the recommendation for the resolution is to transfer the May Owen naming designation to the forthcoming boardroom in the Clear Fork wing of the Trinity River Complex to honor in correspondence between the May Owen Center name, the May Owen name, and the physical location of board work. After deliberation, it just appeared to us that that was the most logical thing to recommend to you. So that's for your consideration.
Questions, discussion?
Yes,
You've been here forever.
and I plan to be here for 5 more years.
Good.
So I have a question. At one time, there were pictures of all of the board members in a prominent location on all campuses. And at some point, all of those were removed, I assume stored.
You mean present or past?
What do you mean? They've all been removed. They're no longer pictures of board members hanging on the campuses.
Yeah, present board members?
Yes.
Okay.
Yours is? Well, we know you're special. At some point, that decision was made. I wasn't involved in it at all, either the hanging of them there, that tradition existed when I came, and I wasn't involved in the removing of it. And I'm not making any suggestions. I'm just putting it out there for inquiring and creative minds to ponder.
Thank you.
It should be a consideration, but anyway. I won't go any further today.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any further questions or discussion on item J? Okay, item 6, report by the Chancellor.
The reports will begin with both Mr. Prather and Mr. Pacheco on the schedule of upcoming events. You have copies of this in your materials.
Yep.
And they'll be happy to answer any questions.
It's exciting stuff.
Would you go over item 7 on the bond program owners representation services?
Do what, sir?
Susan, Susan.
On item 7?
Yes, sir, you did.
The bond program owners,
Okay, Susan will answer.
So you may recall that we conducted an RFQ before, last fall, I guess, to solicit an owner's rep who will be one organization that helps to augment staff and also oversee the bond program as a whole and make sure that we come in on time and under budget. We are in the process of negotiating that agreement with our finalist at this point. Our intent is to bring that back to you in April for consideration of award.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mr. Pacheco, could you elaborate a little bit on number 9, where it talks about the premier support, what that is for?
That's
Please.
just our yearly contract for Microsoft, anything Microsoft.
Okay,
It's premier service, so
Okay.
help with that.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. LeBlanc will share with us annual faculty promotion, rank, and tenure information.
Yes, so more happy news. We are recommending for promotion, rank, and tenure, 3 faculty members to be promoted to assistant professor, 7 promoted to associate professor, 9 promoted to professor, and 20 awarded tenure, and you have that list. And you're possibly in your, yes.
Electronic, okay. Let's see.
And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, Chief Williams will provide a report on our Clery Act, racial profiling.
Good evening. In 2011, House Bill 3389 required each law enforcement agency that routinely conducts vehicle stops as a part of their duties to compile information on public contacts that are made and present that information to the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement and the governing body of their police agency. Texas law defines racial profiling as a law enforcement initiated action based on the individual's race, ethnicity, or national origin rather than on the individual's behavior or on information identifying the individual as having engaged in criminal activity. The report you've received in your package meets the information requirements that our agency is obligated to collect, report, and present to you for your information, and it shows that the Tarrant County College District Police Department is in full compliance with the Texas racial profiling law. I will entertain any questions that you may have or concerns.
Questions, discussion? Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
And we are not going to have a closed session, and so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Ms. Ayala, second by Dr. Evans. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.